Hi, everyone. Casey Durango here with Go Keto with Casey. So happy to see you. It is a Monday afternoon, and it's a beautiful day here. I hope it is where you are. And today's topic is keto and control. A beautiful friendship, a beautiful relationship. They go well together. And let me tell you what I mean about that. I do want to say, just before I forget it, that this is probably going to be the last scheduled YouTube live video that I make. I've been doing them Monday afternoons Eastern time, and I'm just going to take that off the calendar. My calendar is getting quite full, and that's really wonderful and very happy. But I need a little bit more flexibility, and I need time to devote to some other things that go on outside of YouTube. I want to say hello to everyone that's popping in right now. Ruthie and Tricia and Maria Hemsworth. Hey, and Wendy and Luz. Buenos dias. Okay, so, part of my little tagline I think it's on my blog, I don't know whether it's everywhere else, is, how to lose weight, improve your health, and regain control of your life. And because that was my experience. Once I started following the ketogenic diet, which is a low carb, moderate protein, rest of it fat diet, I lost 97.4 pounds. Still got about 4.5 I want to go. But my health improved greatly. My attitude, my mental outlook, my clarity, my mood, my joint pain, so many things alleviated. But one of the greatest things that happened was that I felt like I regained control of my life. And maybe even more than that, I felt like I had control for the first time maybe in my life. Some of that can be attributed to my advanced age. There's certain benefits to getting to be older. I'm 59. I started this when I was 55. And, some people, particularly younger people who think the worst thing that could possibly happen is to grow older, let me tell you what, there's some good side benefits to it, some crazy junk that comes along with it as well. But there's some really liberating aspects of becoming a mature, experienced person. If you're lucky, you've gained a little bit of wisdom, and it helps you deal with your life. But for the first time, I really felt like I actually gained control of my life. And not just because my day-to-day tasks were different. I'm the proud parent of 3 lovely, fully formed, fully cooked, off the payroll, married to their own partners, having to live their own lives for several years, kids. They're not kids anymore. They're adults. And so, yes, our day-to-day lives changed when we got out of that kind of craziness that is a state of raising children. But it was more than that. I gained control of my thoughts, if that makes sense. I no longer had intrusive thoughts of food. And that was amazing. And when the intrusive thoughts of food dissipated, it opened up my mind to deal with other things. Many things with which I had not dealt. I had successfully dodged thinking about, dealing with, talking about certain things because I was so busy eating and feeling miserable about it and having a big pity party for myself. So as the intrusive thoughts of food left, other thoughts, some of them challenging, some of them delightful, there was room in my brain. And as that happened, and I began to deal with things with which I had really put a lot of effort into avoiding, I took care of those things. They became managed. And as that happened, things started to balance out. It's fantastic. So instead of feeling like I was in a tornado of chronic depression, sad thoughts, beating myself up, feeling like a failure, trying to pretend all the while that I didn't think any of that, I have a fairly gregarious personality, by which I come by, honestly, you should have met my father. I could pretend that all this stuff was not going on behind me, inside me. As the layers started to come off, the weight is an excellent metaphor. Instead of being, the weight came off, actual weight came off. But the weight was a metaphor for the other things that were kind of pounding down. So what does this all have to do with control? I control my life to the extent possible. You know, control to a certain degree is an illusion. We are not in control of many things. Never will be. It's above our pay grade, if you know what I mean. But at least I feel like those things which I can control, I do, for the most part. This came up, I got to thinking about this, talking with some friends. Actually, it was a Patreon video group, and we were chatting. And the topic of those who resist the idea of following a well-formulated ketogenic diet, and for those who don't know, a ketogenic diet is one in which you reduce your carbohydrate intake to the point where you are no longer burning glucose for fuel, but burning fat for fuel, ketones, fat. That's all that is. As a rule, remaining 20 grams or fewer a day, and we'll do that. So that's kind of a thumbnail of what it is. But some people say, oh, I couldn't possibly. And I just know me, I know myself well enough. I'm going to need a cheat day. I'm going, a so-called cheat, as if we're, you know, it's a crime to eat carbs. It's not. As if you're running, you know, having an affair on your partner. No, you're not. Or as if you're robbing a bank. No, those are all cheating, by the way. Eating is not cheating. There are better choices and not as great choices, but you're not committing a crime. It's not a black spot on your soul. But anyway, people call it a cheat day or a cheat meal. So we talked about, why would one think in advance that they would need, for sure, a cheat day or a cheat meal? Even before they've tried it, before they've been presented with having gone several days without cravings, whatever. In advance, they're predicting they would need it. Why would that be? And my friend proffered that in this one case, it was possibly because this person is really a person who needs control. They need control. And so it's like, not in a snarky way, but in a, you're not going to tell me what I can't eat. I'm going to eat what I want when I want to eat it, because I'm in control. That on the surface, excuse me, I just burped my coffee up. Excuse me. That's kind of, okay, that sounds logical. Somebody wants to have control. But think of it this way. Is it possible that that person does not have control? When they're already giving, let's just call it a cheat meal. And when they're already giving a pizza, a carby pizza, power over them. So much power that they're anticipating they won't be able to resist it whenever they're presented with it in a week or 2 weeks. See, y'all, to me, that seems like you're giving away your power, which I did. I'm speaking from experience. I gave away my power. I not only gave away my power, I squandered treasure giving that power away. I squandered time with my family. I mean, mental and emotional time with my family. I squandered opportunities. As I've said before, for years I hid my light under a bushel. It happened to be a bushel of fat. So if you think that no one's going to tell you what to eat except you, that's cool. Great. But if you think that means you've got power, think again. Ask yourself this. If I'm anticipating that I won't be able to resist a basket of chips, who's got the power? That inanimate basket of chips has your power. Get it back. This is what I mean when I say I regained control of my life. Food is not the boss of me. I am dadgummit. I'm going to get some t-shirts made that say that. Food is not the boss of me. It was the boss of me. And not only did I not get paid for it, I didn't get any, certainly I didn't get any health benefits from any other boss that one might expect. Food is not the boss of me. It will never be the boss of me again, ever, as long as I draw breath. If you're just starting this, don't anticipate that you can't do it. Don't put that in your head. Don't give your power away to a bunch of food. Food. You're giving your power away to chocolate, to pasta, to bread, to chips. You're giving your power away to people who are going to tempt you and say, just won't hurt. You're giving your power away to a holiday that is some man-made thing. You're giving your power away to Hallmark. We've come too far to give our power away. If you're considering whether you can do this, you can absolutely do this. I say this with so much conviction. If you haven't seen them, go to my before pictures. Mine are, I'm not saying that anyone else's are not legitimate, but I can only speak for mine, that mine are actual before pictures. If I can do it, you can do it. I was perfectly round for 30 years and had given up. I'm 5 feet 1 inches tall. I'm 115.5 pounds off my heaviest weight. Do the math. How many pounds per inch of height is that? I'm 97.4 pounds since I started the ketogenic diet on January 8th, 2014. Again, do the math. A lot of pounds per inches of height. If I can do this, I promise you, you can do it. I've heard from people who started in bed, started in wheelchairs, had to go around with walkers. These are people who are now blasting through the grocery store, only shopping the perimeter, by the way, without a walker or a cane. If they can do it, you can do it. It's not magic. It's physiology. It's not a gimmick. It's physiology. And by the way, it's not math. Many of us get really bogged down in the pie chart and the percentages. And there's a word starting with M, which I choose not to use. And you don't have to do that. Do it if you want to. Do it if it gives you structure and you feel good, but it's not required. And to my thinking, it absolutely can hinder your progress. Think about any other part of your life that you would get down to the point where you're calculating percentages of anything. Do you micro-measure your urine output and fuss over it? Or any other output, if you know what I mean? Do you micromanage your sleep? Oh, someone said I'm supposed to get 8 hours of sleep, and I'm only getting 7 hours and 12 minutes of sleep a night. Something must be wrong. I'm going to force myself to sleep for another 48 minutes. No, you sleep as long as your need. Sometimes we, any woman over the age of 45, sleep is a whole other issue. I would say I sleep better on the ketogenic diet. But I'm not trying to force myself to sleep a certain amount based on some table. I'm not denying myself sleep if I'm tired. Are we measuring that to the percentage? No. Keep your grams of carbohydrate 20 or fewer a day, or whatever level gets you to the point where you're burning ketones for fuel, not glucose. That's pretty much it. Eat only when you're hungry. Stop when you're satisfied. Sum total of the math right there. So try not to overcomplicate it. If you like complicating, good. I like data. I measure everything else in my life. Accept that, because I don't need to, because Dr. Eric Westman didn't say to do it, so I don't. Easy peasy. Alrighty. I do want to, in this control thing, I want to share with you something that I'm trying to practice. And I had made a video before, it might have been for Patreon, I don't remember. And one of the patrons commented, and the topic, I guess, of my talk was, just relax. Relax, take a deep breath, step back, assess, let that stuff go. And that means everything, not just the percentages or the pie charts or the... And so she quoted, don't sweat the small stuff. And it's all small stuff. Oh, well, I thought that was so great. I responded to her. I said, oh, wow, I love that. I love that. I'm going to steal that. And she replied immediately, go right ahead. I did. It's a quote from Richard Carlson. She's better read than I am. But what a great quote. Don't sweat the small stuff. And it's all small stuff. Clearly, there are large life events. There are traumatic things that happen. No doubt about it. Thankfully, those are few and far between for most of us. Some of us, frankly, almost never experience anything terribly traumatic. And for that, we need to give thanks. Give appreciation. Recognize our blessings. It's the first thing we should do every day and at the end of the day. Recognize our blessings. And then allow us to catalog some of our next challenges. They can be small or large. And maybe that next challenge is, don't sweat the small stuff. And it's all small stuff. And recognize that food should not have any control over you, ever. And thinking that you're controlling it by just saying, I'm going to eat what I want when I want, is not really you controlling it. So give this a chance. Give yourself a chance to start burning fat for fuel rather than glucose. Give it several days. It's too strong to say it's like a detox, but it is shifting from one type of fuel to another. Imagine that you drive a car and you're going to switch from gasoline to diesel. Well, you kind of got to get through all that gasoline before you start having the diesel. And it can take a couple of days, right? So think of it that way. And then realize that not only will you stop craving those foods which you thought you could never give up, you don't even think about them. And after a while, they kind of gross you out a little bit. And you look at other people with plates piled high of beige food, and you go, ooh, my head is going to hurt just thinking about that. That is not good. Give it a chance. Give it a fair chance. Keeping in mind that if you do the cheat meals and the cheat snacks and all this stuff, carb up, not a thing, not based in science, not based in research, and it's illogical. You do what you want to do. But if you keep switching back and forth between diesel and gasoline, it always takes longer to clear out all that gasoline before you can start burning the diesel. For some reason, you can go right back to burning. Well, I think I know the reason. I won't try to explain it. To my understanding, it's a evolutionary thing, why we can switch from burning ketones to glucose so quickly. Because nature looks at glucose as an emergency fuel for us. So only in case of emergency, break this glass and burn this glucose. Only in case of emergency. And that's like if you can't find any other food around you for 15 miles for 3 days. Anyway, do not confuse your fear of changing as control. Your fear of making a change, that's not control. Give it a try. Worst that happens is you lose a bunch of weight. Or your inflammation clears up. Or you start to remember your own telephone number, which you couldn't remember for a while because your brain got crazy. Nothing but upsides. Okay, now I've been looking at this. Renita Hellman writes, sucralose caused me to stall and have cravings. This is an excellent point. Just came up in a patron video chat. I drink Splenda in my coffee. So does my husband. It does not bother us, never has. I'm in ketosis, all that. But other people have said, I just have not actually spoken with them or heard from them directly, where artificial sweeteners in general cause a problem. One woman has been very successful, found out through great research and self-testing on herself, any non-sugar sweetener, any sweetener, screws her up. It raises her insulin. So she's just cut them all out. Some people may need to do that. Some people can't stand the taste of Splenda. We tried everything else. It's the only one we do like. So find out what works for you. There is not one single answer for everybody. Come on now. Is there one single answer for whether everybody who's sitting in the same room should be wearing a sweater or not? Some people will be sleeveless and some people will have jackets on. Some people will be fanning themselves. Everyone's in the same ambient air and we're all humans. But our bodies are different. So don't let anyone tell you this is the answer for everybody. There is something that will generally work for most people, but there's not an answer for everybody. I can't have xylitol. It will decrease my ketones. Helena writes, I think sweeteners are a very individual thing. You have to find out what works for you. And for some, none of them work. And she also said she totally lost her taste for sweet. Pam did. So that was great. Hey, Peggy, Vascu, you say I keep losing Casey. You mean you keep losing the video or you keep losing weight? Peggy, I've been concerned about you. We have not seen you in a while. You're due for a one-on-one and the group chats. We haven't seen you. So let me know. I was going to write you anyway. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. Again, this is probably my last YouTube live, scheduled one anyway. I may pop in. I am putting a great amount of my effort and gearing it towards Patreon, which is just a place where people of like-minded thing who decide to patronize Go Keto with Casey can do it. $1 a month, $2 a month, anyway and up. And there are different rewards. I do little morning snippets most mornings of the week, little tiny 5-minute videos. They're not live. They're recorded with me, no makeup, just out of bed, crazy bed hair. Sometimes haven't had my coffee. Sometimes I'm incoherent. But anyway, so keep it in the road, y'all. Realize that sometimes what we think of control is the opposite of control. Realize that food should not dominate any of us. When we are burning glucose, that is a hard thought because as long as we're burning glucose, our brains want a steady stream of glucose. That's, again, evolution. You got to get out of there. Get the diesel going. And then your brain won't be asking for glucose. I mean, that's a mixed metaphor right there. But give it a try. Give it a sincere try. No cheats, no sneaks, no fake foods. Give it a real try and see what happens. And don't sweat the small stuff. And it's all small stuff for the most part. Okay, guys? Keep your grams of carbohydrate 20 or fewer per day. Eat fatty sources of protein. Eat only when you're hungry. Stop when you're satiated. Be kind to yourself. A stumble doesn't mean a fall. And a fall doesn't mean you break your face. You are in control. You're in control. You can do this. Okay? Thanks a lot, guys. See you later.